So we already know how Bitcoin should scale because we had 7 or 8 years of history. And we watched as Bitcoin had blocks that were maybe 1 or 2 kilobytes, and more people heard about it and started to use it as money, and the blocks grew into 5 kilobyte blocks, and then 10 kilobyte blocks, and 50 kilobyte blocks, and 100 kilobyte blocks. As it grew to having more and more people around the world starting to use it. They were playing games on the internet and buying and selling things, and people all over the world were starting to use it. And as more people heard about it, then the blocks grew to half a megabyte, and then 3/4 of a megabyte, and then 1 megabyte. And Bitcoin became this worldwide phenomenon that we have today as the blocks simply grew year after year as more and more people started to use it. And the cost of the hardware to validate that and to do the mining in terms of hashes per second per dollar, everything got more efficient and cheaper for people to use, and cheaper and easier for people around the world to use. So we have 7 or 8 years of empirical evidence as to how we should scale Bitcoin. And we have that empirical evidence that showed it worked amazingly well to bring Bitcoin from nothing to what this worldwide phenomenon that we have today. If something's working and working that incredibly well, don't break it. But unfortunately, that's exactly what proponents of the 1 megabyte block size limit have done, and people working for a company like Blockstream have done. They've literally broken the goose that was laying the golden eggs and scale to be money for the entire world and for everyone to use. And so I went on bitcoin.org and read the details about how Bitcoin could scale to the world. And it went over the exact mathematics involved as to how much bandwidth it would take, how much hard drive space it would take, how much processing power it would take. And it was clear. Bitcoin could scale to be money for the entire world. And then later, a bunch of people came to Bitcoin, much later, who started spreading all these lies and using censorship and propaganda to spread them, saying that Bitcoin can't scale to be money for the entire world. But anybody out there is welcome to go to the Internet Archive and look up bitcoin.org and read the articles about the scalability of Bitcoin from back in 2011, 2012, even in 2013. It was very clear. And so all through that time, there was this one single version of Bitcoin.
Blockchain, I think, with Bitcoin would be to move to layer 2 scaling solutions where everything is cryptographically linked to the main chain. So if you want an analogy, it's kind of like a gold standard, where a US dollar is backed by gold, except for it's cryptographically enforced. Bitcoin in a sidechain, Bitcoin on Lightning, you can always cash back out to the main chain and actually get that asset.
Instead of raising the block size again, the development team has decided to go for a second layer called the Lightning Network. It promises instant transactions, super low fees, and this is the basics of how it works. Let's say me and you transact regularly, so we open a channel for 2 Bitcoins. I send a Bitcoin and you send a Bitcoin to a multi-signature address, where it's temporarily locked away. Now we are free to trade 2 Bitcoins back and forth with no fees, as long as we both sign each transaction. This is because the actual Bitcoin was never moved. We are essentially trading for the rights of the coin, off-chain, similar to an IOU. When we close our channel, it settles on the blockchain. Our IOUs are redeemed, and we get our share of the real Bitcoin. The only time the high transaction fee occurs is when you open or close a channel to settle up. You want to transact with somebody you don't have a direct channel open with. Let's say you want to transact with Bob and pay him 1 Bitcoin. Bob does not currently have an open channel with you, and you don't want to have to pay the fees to open another channel. It turns out that my first cousin Sam has an open channel with Bob. You could send the payments through our channel and use the channel I have open with Sam, and finally from Sam to Bob, paying me and Sam very small transaction fees for using our open channels. This is ideally how the network would work, hopping from individual to individual until your transaction meets the intended recipient. But it turns out if Sam isn't as fortunate as us, and our channel only has 0.5 Bitcoins deposited, this won't work. There has to be enough loaded on each channel along the way for it to be used, and the network must find another route. Luckily, it turns out that Bob and you both eat at the same pizza shop regularly enough that you both have open channels. The pizza shop has plenty of Bitcoin in its channel and is one less hop than the last example. Bob gets paid, less fees for you, and the pizza shop gets a reward for providing a useful service. Everyone wins. Or so it would seem. A problem with the system is the requirement to preload every open channel you have ahead of time, with what you assume will be the upper limit of your spending habits with that channel. It's more convenient to have one open channel and a large amount of Bitcoin to a well-connected party that consistently has more money than you, so you can always route through. This is why hubs will naturally occur. A Lightning hub is a node with enough channels open and enough liquidity available that by connecting them, you limit the amount of channels you need to personally open, never have to worry about their balance, and reduce the amount of hops and fees required to make transactions. Unlike miners, who don't actually transfer value, these hubs will likely be classified as third-party settlement organizations, being subject to heavy financial regulation laws such as KYC and AML. Also, unlike on-chain transactions, there is a chance of theft in this system. If another party attempts to broadcast a channel in an old state, they can try to steal your Bitcoin if you can't catch them in time. For this, you will either need to run a full Bitcoin node that will always be online to monitor the transactions yourself, or hire a third-party service to do this on your behalf. So, the Lightning hubs will require to be set up for financial regulation and reporting laws, require massive amounts of liquidity to keep multiple well-funded open channels, offer fraud departments to watch the blockchain constantly and prevent theft, all while taking small fees for every transaction you route through them. Does this system sound familiar? Just replace the term open channel with checking account. These Lightning Network hubs will be ran by the same financial institutions the Bitcoin was made to challenge. The banks aren't fighting Bitcoin because Bitcoin will be the new banking system. Bitcoin needed no middleman. There was no fraud to detect, no permission to give, no transaction to reverse, no fees to collect. So it had to be broken to need them. And the worst part is, you won't have a choice. Either give up your freedom and use the Lightning Network, or be subject to double or even triple-digit ever-increasing fees for every move you make on the blockchain. The truth is, the 1 megabyte blocks restricting Bitcoin are purposely kept there by the developers. The absurdly high fees and long waits create a demand for a solution, and the solution they give us is the banking industry. The block size restriction was placed as a temporary safeguard by Bitcoin's creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. As soon as the blocks were close to being full, it was to be raised again. Satoshi mysteriously left the project in 2010, but before he did, he left instructions on how to raise the block size and left Gavin Anderson in charge of the project. When Satoshi left, institutional money started to make its way in and take control, and a company, Blockstream, emerged. Over time, it happened that a large portion of the development team was part of or hired by this company, and when it came time for another block size increase, there was a portion of the developers that thought this was a bad idea. This just so happened to be the same group of developers that worked for Blockstream. The story of how block size should have been raised long ago. It could be raised for years without any risk of centralization, giving us time to find other solutions. But it won't happen, because Blockstream states that they plan to turn a profit by selling sidechains to businesses, allowing them to accept custom Bitcoin-backed chains that aren't subject to Bitcoin's high fees, taking small fees for every transaction, fixed monthly fees from the businesses, and selling the custom hardware needed to run them. This model is far more profitable if Bitcoin doesn't work properly. If the fees are low and no one wants their sidechains, then how will they pay the $74 million back to the corporations and big bankers who have invested, the ones who benefit from the Lightning hubs? This amazing technology, designed to give freedom, stability, and power to the people around the world, has been ripped apart and destroyed for power, control, and profit.
Value on the ledger. So in other words, if you have $1 in a dollar stablecoin designed on the system, what you have is a $1 claim on XRP enforceable by the ledger's payment mechanics. And the reason that that's important is with some other stablecoin designs, if the stablecoin isn't popular, it won't necessarily be liquid. If it's not listed on an exchange, if it can't easily be deposited and withdrawn, it won't be that useful. By the design of this system, the stablecoins can be offered through the on-ledger decentralized exchange, and they spend like XRP. So you don't need to find some way to make them liquid. You can just spend them right on the ledger. And of course, they can be pegged to anything that someone can provide a price feed on. Fiat currencies are probably what people typically think of, like dollars and euros or whatever. But they can also be pegged to things like stocks or precious metals or any other value source. As long as someone can provide a price feed for it, you can have a stablecoin pegged to that value. A redemption is the conversion of a stablecoin to XRP through the redemption system. It will be built into the ledger's payment logic through an IOU to XRP order book. So there's already an order book to sell the stablecoin. People who want to buy the stablecoin for XRP can place offers in the order book if they want. And there'll be a synthetic offer for redemption against the collateral pool. To redeem a stablecoin for XRP, we'll have to modify the IOU to XRP order book logic. Essentially, one synthetic offer will be injected into that order book that represents redemption against the collateral pool. That will redeem against the least collateralized positions first, eliminate them, and sort of cleaning out the junk. If there are reserve funds, it can even redeem against positions collateralized below 100%. But if there's no reserve, then you can't redeem against under collateralized positions.
Welcome to the Cryptoteacher, and guys, please like and subscribe. If you do like what you're listening to, please inform your friends and family and spread on social media. It is imperative that we get back to learning finances and understand how the world really works, because once we understand how the world really works, we understand that everything is planned out. Now guys, I want to thank those who donated to the Cash App, Patreon. Hopefully you made some money over this past week. I gave you, especially the Patreon and Cash App guys, I gave you the actual cryptos and stocks to buy. So make sure that you are doing your own research. It's not trading advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but you would have made some money. So guys, just make sure that you're positioning yourself. Now, getting into, of course, Bitcoin. Another thing, I do want to thank those who purchased the book, Cryptoteacher and NWO book. But getting into Bitcoin first. Right now, of course, guys, we took that leg up. Just about all the cryptos took a little leg up. XRP didn't get that big jump that I thought it was going to get, and we saw Bitcoin stabilize. So the fact is that basically would make sure that we're focused on the stable coins, because yes, we was under 99.9, under $1. It was at 99.9 for a little while. We got that pump. XRP went up, and of course, the rest of the market went up. But XRP, is like I said, was only going to go up like a penny or 2 pennies, and that's what happened. And of course, we stabilized. Now, don't forget, of course, we have this weekend, so there may be a big jump. But of course, we have to stick with the fundamentals. But next week, guys, we have BOC. So don't forget about that. So you know when we have BOC, what normally happens, we normally dump a little. We haven't been dumping as much because, of course, they're holding on to their Bitcoin and not cashing out like they were before. So, guys, just make sure that, as like I stated, we're sticking with the fundamentals. Now, when you get into Bitcoin, Bitcoin is up 27%. That's better than any asset, stocks, gold, silver. Just like I said, Bitcoin is definitely booming. We know this is a system that the masses are going to move over to. Unfortunately, they're asleep. That's the reason why you have to keep spreading these videos. Now, getting into videos that you just saw. Basically, you saw the Bitcoin Lightning and XRP. All the system is they're just moving the current system of IOU, imaginary fake money, over to cryptocurrency and blockchain. Remember, if you understand Bitcoin, Bitcoin would have been the greatest thing that ever existed. Of course, what did the bankers do? They went in and make sure you go watch my video. I found Satoshi, because these guys were moving billions of dollars already before any Bitcoin, Ripple, anything ever came about. So guys, don't get confused. The fact is that these guys steal and they just make it better. That's all it is. That's all they did. So the fact is that basically Bitcoin, Ripple, all that protocol was already there. These guys were already moving billions and billions of dollars already. So when you actually look at Bitcoin Lightning, you look at XRPL, it's nothing but an IOU. And that's the reason why you heard Dave say synthetic. Synthetic means not real. Is this going to sit there? Same way with Bitcoin Lightning. Is this sitting on that second? And also David speaks about another video. I didn't put it here, but I put it in my other videos about that second chain. So the fact is that, guys, when you're looking at Bitcoin Lightning, they're not actually moving the real Bitcoin. That's just using the synthetic Bitcoin. And then once you want to settle, then you go back to the original chain and then you settle out. So I just want to make sure that we understand the game that's being played. And it's all throughout crypto. It's just not XRPL or Bitcoin. It's all throughout it. Now, also, we look at Bitcoin Lightning. You have the Zap app that's going to be connected to bank accounts. So they say they're working with banks. So we'll see what happens there. Basically, we also, of course, have the digital yuan. Of course, it says it's going to battle against the dollar. Guys, we know, just like I said, they're just moving it up to World War III. You see the yin and the yang being played in the media. So don't forget, guys, everything is planned out. Now we have the IRS looking at privacy cryptos. We know that they don't want us doing anything that they can't see because they want to make sure that we're paying taxes. So it's going to be a lot of loopholes they're going to have to close, though, when it comes to cryptos, especially if you're smart about it. There's ways to get around anything when it comes to technology. Now, we had the Ant Group and Alibaba Group do a blockchain deal with Costco. Guys, this is humongous. This is big. This is big. So we know that all these corporations are working on blockchain. But now everything has finally been announced. Now, of course, what happens? The masses don't read. So the masses don't know. But the fact is that us that are in this industry, we read, we clearly see the direction that we're going. That's the reason why you invest, make your money, and while everybody's rushing in, what are we doing? We're packing our bags and we're moving out. And that's what we need to make sure we focus on. We're here to get our money, get paid, and get on out of here. Now, basically getting over to the actual regular markets, basically we have the, like I stated, with the United States. The United States is only going to have 250 million people in the next 5 years. So that's going to drop 100 million. Now, like I stated, there was a gentleman that put a website in my links that only said 100 million is going to be in the United States. Now, I don't know where that 100 million going to go, the other 100 million coming from, but the numbers that I pulled was from the baby boomers. So the fact is that you're looking at 250 million only in the United States in 5 years. That's the reason why every time you turn around different articles, they're going to be taking away visas. Now they're talking about if you're a foreigner and you're taking classes online, you're risking your visa. Guys, they don't want immigrants coming into the United States. That wall was not built for the Mexicans. That wall was built for us. They don't want nobody in. They're trying to corner this off. They only want a few people inside the United States. I need for you to understand this. And like I said, I understand the direction that Babylon is going. Now, we had Mitch McConnell's wife get PPP money. Don't forget, Mitch McConnell, they found 90 pounds of cocaine on the boat. You didn't hear anything about it. Not only did you not hear anything about it, but they made jokes about it. They had t-shirts, Cocaine Mitch, and they made money off of it. Now, of course, if that was me or you, where would we be at? We'd be in prison. That's right. So, guys, that's what happens. When you have money, you're able to get away with things. Now, basically, we had Trump post, China has done a great damage to the United States. And then, of course, another article comes out saying the market is up because China's market is up. Guys, don't forget, all of our corporations are where? Over in China. Our banks are trying to get licenses where? Over in China. So, guys, don't get confused. This is all planned out. Don't forget my guy, Anthony Sutton, one of the greatest minds ever. This was planned out long before you was born, long before your parents' and parents' were born. Now, also, guys, lastly, we have Dunkin' Donuts closing 450 stores by end of 2020. We see the closing down of Babylon. I need for you to understand this. The closing down of Babylon is happening right in front of your eyes. Get yourselves prepared. And guys, don't forget about our books, Bitcoin, Cryptoteacher, And then also NWO book. Don't forget about the cryptos, Bitrue, Binance, Coinbase. Also your stocks, your chip stocks, your gaming, your cobalt, your banking stocks. Never ever bet against the banks. People are sitting at home. Don't forget about those stocks. Your biotech stocks. Don't forget about those. And then also what? Everybody's drinking and smoking weed because they're doing what? Getting free money. So don't forget about the weed and alcohol stocks. And y'all have a wonderful day.